Hello, everyone. Carlos Toro here. I'm joined over Zoom by the unbeaten prospect, 2-0, Aaron Aponte, who's going to be fighting on April 17 in Florida. Matchroom Boxing on the Zone. Aaron, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Pleasure to be here today and ready to talk about all my upcoming events.
Aaron, it's been almost roughly a year to the day that it was announced that you were going to turn pro. It was, I think, like right at the end of March. And I'm sure you would have loved to have had more than just two fights so far in your pro career in this first year. But the pandemic has obviously changed a lot of things. When you're looking at this first year that you've had as a pro, these first 12 months, what was sort of the biggest takeaway that you've had? Was it anything like you expected? Obviously, with the pandemic, things were have to kind of be put on hold. But how do you sort of look at this first 12 months?
We definitely started off slow. We didn't get our pro debut till October. And now my second fight in, when was it?
Second
Well, I
fight
just
of
completely
February, I think.
February. Yeah, February 27th. And, honestly, I think it's going to start speeding up now.
Mhm.
I'm going to have more consecutive fights and, 17th is a testament to that, it's quick. I only had a couple weeks off, and now I'm back in training camp, getting ready for this fight.
Before you turned pro, I know you had your sights set on fighting the Olympics. Obviously, the Olympics had to be moved to Tokyo Games now to 2021. Was there any regret about missing out on that opportunity, or were you sort of more excited about the prospect of turning pro as soon as possible and sort of get that ball rolling?
Honestly, there's no regret in the decision I made.
Mhm.
With my team, we all talked about it and we all decided together that turning pro is the best way to go. So we ended up turning professional, and it's been working out good so far. If we would have waited, we would have never had the opportunity to fight on a Canelo Alvarez card or Demetrius Andre card. And, there's no regrets. We're getting our name out there, we're getting exposure, we're getting experiences, and we're getting paid for it.
Going to sort of that Canelo card, obviously you had fighting in front of in a stadium is certainly something not a lot of boxers can say, especially with their second pro fight. And you had your debut in October in Kissimmee, Florida, if I remember correctly. And it was also one of those empty arena, like no fans allowed. I mean, I've had boxers tell me that it seems like a sparring session at times with the atmosphere with no fans in there. But when you look at sort of the atmosphere from fighting in your pro debut and then moving on to fight in a stadium on the Canelo Undercard, how different it was those two experiences, those two atmospheres, fighting in that environment?
Yeah, you could definitely tell the difference between, fighting with no audience and fighting with a stadium audience. There's definitely it's two different worlds, because one, there's in the first fight there was nobody cheering for me except, my corner, which was like two people. And then the second fight, which is 600 to 1,000 people cheering for me, screaming Aaron, Alien King, Aponte, cheering me on. And it really gives you that extra energy to keep fighting and, put on a show for the people, because you feel obligated seeing all those people who came to cheer for you, and you feel that power. It's kind of like you take their energy and you use it for yourself.
I know you and your father, you guys have your own gym, and so training has not been that much of an issue during the pandemic. But how hard was it to get that sort of have that long wait? Your debut was in October, you turned pro technically in March. That's about 7 months, roughly 6, 7 months of waiting to get that pro debut. Was it hard to sort of have those long days where you just don't know what the pandemic is going to bring, or just not knowing when that call was going to come?
Honestly, in my head, I was turning professional, and I was ready for whatever. I've trusted in Peter Khan to, my manager, to give me the best situation possible. And, so I waited, and once he gave me the opportunity, we were fine. I knew, they could give me as long as they wanted, and I was gonna get the job done. I was always getting focused on getting better. So through those 7 months, I was getting better and better and better and better. So the longer we waited, the better I was getting anyway. So I knew once I got to my first professional fight, I was gonna kill it, and I did kill it. I knocked him out in the first round, 50-something seconds.
Yeah, it was like first minute or so that it feel like that when you got that TKO win, that knockout win within 60 seconds, and you got that win, that it feel kind of like, wow, that was kind of like blinking and missing. That was like very like super quick. Like I was kind of expecting a little bit more.
Yeah, I was expecting a little more. I'm not gonna lie. After I knocked him out, I was kind of jumping around. I had so much adrenaline in me because it was my first fight, and it was kind of nerves and going into it. And, it was like, wow, that's it. I won. It was pretty cool though.
And the second pro fight that you had, obviously Canelo Undercard. The one thing that really jumped out at me, I was reading the CompuBox numbers for that fight, and it's ridiculous. I mean, I had to like double read it twice. You avoided all 99 of Harry Gigliotti's jabs. You only landed 4 punches. Obviously when people talk about prospects, guys who are coming up, they talk about their power. They're talking about how strong they are and how they're knocking guys left and right. But for you, do you sort of take more pride in when sort of reading that kind of statistic and having that kind of defensive game plan when you were virtually untouched for 16 minutes?
Yeah, my dad before the fight, he had told me the most important number I want to see is you getting hit the least. So he didn't want me to get hit at all. I went out there and I did what he told me. I avoided getting hit. I hit him as much as possible. I was looking for the knockout, but it didn't come, unfortunately. So we kept boxing and we got the job done, and he barely touched me.
Aside from that pro debut, which was only lasted a minute, was the second fight the least that you've ever gotten hit for, like in a fight that went like 3-4 rounds at least?
No, I say in the amateurs, those were usually how my fights went.
Okay.
I was boxing, they would barely touch me. The good ones, once I was fighting in national tournaments, that's when it was more competitive. But either way, I was still winning and getting the job done.
I know your manager Peter Khan wants to bring you out, as much as possible, and not just fighting often, but fighting on these big undercards, fighting on the zone this time around, undercard of Demetrius Andre versus Liam Smith. One thing that Liam Williams, my mistake. How, I don't know if there's been a number of fights that you have in mind or that Peter told you he's going to try to bring you on. But do you guys have a sort of a number of fights that you hope that to have by the end of the year? I'm sure that you would have liked to be fighting more than once every 6 months.
Right. I told Peter I wanted to fight around 5 times this year, 4 to 5 times this year, and he's been doing a great job. We already got one locked in. The second one coming soon, and the third one we have it coming up too. And he's getting it set up already after this fight. And we're more than halfway now, so we already have more than half of the fights that I wanted.
I know you're still early in your career, but is there anyone, a specific name that you'd like to face somewhere down the road that you're kind of thinking like that's a good way to test myself early on as a prospect?
As a prospect, no, but honestly, I want to see all the champions. I want to get at least. I want to unify the belts. Once I get up there, I want to get every single belt that everyone has: the WBC, WBO, IBF. Any belt with a meaning, I want it. The Ring magazine, all of it.
Now, speaking of unifications, obviously we got at 140 pounds, Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez, they're unifying the belts. Do you sort of have a dog in this fight, or who do you think is going to come out on top as the undisputed champion?
Honestly, I think it's going to be a great fight. But I think Jose Ramirez might take this fight.
One thing that, when you first turned pro last year and you were getting so many compliments from so many guys who have been in boxing for decades, from trainers to world-class boxers and everything, they lauded your work ethic, your potential. I mean, when you were out there sort of developing your style of boxing growing up, was there a fighter that you kind of watched on television or sort of tried to look up and think, I want to fight like this guy, or I want to try to emulate my style like these guys?
Yeah, most definitely. I had three fighters that I really used to watch all the time, and that was Muhammad Ali,
Mhm.
Sugar Ray Leonard, and Felix Trinidad. So I always wanted to fight like all three of them. So I try to mix my style with all three of them. Try to box like Muhammad Ali, be as fast as Sugar Ray Leonard, and hit as hard as Felix Trinidad. And that's what I really try to resemble my style after.
You know what? Those are about as three good guys that you can try to emulate as you can. Obviously, you got this fight on April 17th. Your third pro fight. What's the one message that you want to send to those watching into the boxing world and sort of say, I'm here. I'm finally now into the pros.
I definitely wanted to get a knockout this fight. I feel like that's going to send the biggest message, and I want it to be impressive. You know, I want. I feel like I think this fight we're going to fight somebody who's never been knocked out before, and I want to be the first to knock him out and show out for Miami and you know put my name out there and get a highlight victory.
If you were question before I let you go, one thing that I want to know is, where did the Alien King nickname come from? I'm seeing it all over your ring. I'm seeing it in the alien mask that to your left. I'm seeing it right now, and on your shirt. Where did that come from?
So basically, when I was born, my mom called me an alien because of how I looked and on my fingers, right? So that's one. And then my dad called me an alien because he used to always watch Ancient Aliens, and he used to see me work out, and he used to be like, "Yo, you're crazy. A regular person can't do this." So he used to call me an alien. And you know, then my other trainer called me King, and he always called me King because I was like the king of the gym, and he respected me. So we put those together, and we made Alien King. So
Did it ever feel weird when your parents were kind of calling you an alien?
nah, I always kind of accepted. I thought it was kind of cool that they called me an alien. I always thought aliens were pretty cool. And if they come visit us, I say what's up to them and be like, I'm the Alien King.
One thing that, during the pandemic, I've had a lot of boxers tell me about their extracurricular non-boxing activities. I had, former world champion Angelo Leo tell me he was taking time in drawing and doing some art again. I had another boxer telling me he had a side hustle selling homemade chili. Was there anything that you were doing sort of in those months during the pandemic that sort of took your mind a little bit from boxing?
Honestly, I've been making TikToks.
Okay.
And I gained a
Plug it
following on
away
TikTok.
if you want.
Yeah. Aaron Alien King on TikTok is 63,000 followers right now.
Oh wow! Now I'm not a TikTok guy, but is there anyone? What kind of TikToks do you make? What kind of videos do you do on
I
TikTok?
don't I don't make boxing TikToks. I make like dancing TikToks, funny TikToks, stuff like that. Just to take a step away from boxing, just so I'm not only doing boxing, boxing TikTok. So I do fun stuff, just to pass the time.
It's something that I learned about you. Kind of going through for your Instagram is that you did a charity drive-in movie night for children battling cancer a couple of months ago, and did this in honor of your cousin who passed away from cancer. And I know how it feels like to lose a loved one due to cancer. How important and how fulfilling is it for you to be able to sort of try and give back and help out in this, ongoing battle to sort of one day hopefully eradicate cancer for good?
Yeah, it was a really big event for me because I've always dreamed about doing an event and honoring him. And when the mayor came to me and gave me my own day in Highland Gardens, and we immediately we thought of the day that he passed, February 5th, and now hopefully every February 5th we can have a day honoring him, giving back to the community, giving back to people, kids with cancer, making a difference in the community every February 5th in honor of his name.
First of all, awesome stuff. I'm absolutely love what you're doing with that. The movie that you guys hosted was the movie Onward. I have not seen it, but I wanted to get your opinion on it because I've heard nothing but great things about that movie. Are you much of a Disney fan? Was it your choice to pick Onward, or who was it?
Yeah, I was the one who picked Onward. I thought it was a good movie. It's a magic movie that takes place in like modern times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like magical creatures and fairies and stuff, but it takes place in the present. So it's like modern day technology. So everybody kind of like forgot about magic, and they're really just like using their technology. And it's a good movie. The whole movie they're looking to bring back his dad to life with a magic staff.
Are you a fan of Disney movies, or was it sort of this one instance where you just thought it was a really good movie to watch?
Nah, I always grew up on Disney movies and watching all the Disney movies. And not just Disney, like Pixar, DreamWorks, all those movies were my childhood. But there was this one movie that's not a Disney movie. It's called Digimon.
Oh, I love Digimon. Absolutely love Digimon.
Digimon that I watched over and over on repeat.
Oh man, listen. I know exactly what you're talking about. I watched the shows, the various shows they had. I watched all the movies that they've had, and it's one of the things that it still sticks with me ever since I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah. Digimon was definitely one of my childhood movies.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me. Best of luck on April 17th. Looking forward to seeing you in the ring, and looking forward to seeing your activity coming up for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speaking with you, and telling everybody when I'm fighting, and just thank you for this opportunity.